Okay. Welcome to episode 7 of the SquadCast. We are with Dylan and Kim. We're waiting for Andrew, who's going to make a fashionable late appearance.
He said he's coming on Andrew time.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what he's wearing.
Oh,
yeah, right.
That's true. So we're gonna talk about a training epiphany that Dylan had, and then we're gonna recap Sasquatch Shuffle with Kim and Andrew when he pops on, and then I think Dylan and Andrew have some things that they would like to plug. So Jen, if you wanna take it off.
Okay, so as you know, we like weight vest hikes, and so Dylan started working those into his routine like recently, and was pleasantly surprised at how much of a difference it made. And so I was just I was pretty excited in the first place just to see it on there, but just to see that he was doing it. But he shared with me during one of our runs how much he felt like it had actually helped, like just climbing and running in general. So I was going to let him share his takeaways from that.
Yeah, so I guess it's like any new habit. It takes a little bit for it to stick. And I think part of it too was up till that point, I've been training for marathons and self-coaching and whatnot. So I didn't really have like climbing or elevation in mind, even though obviously I wanted to run in the mountains, but just the two didn't really match up because I honestly hate running on a treadmill. Like the only thing I will do on a treadmill are these weighted vest hikes. Like I will not even run flat, like incline, any of that. I mean, we'll see what the future holds, but I just hate it. Same reason I struggle to do strength work is just because part of the thing I like about running is you go somewhere, like you actually achieve something while you're working out. And so when I'm sitting there staring at a wall, I don't know, because I just don't like to watch things while I lift. So like that never really enticed me. So that's just to say it took me a minute to really develop this habit. But I think it was, I don't even remember, I want to say it was around January that I started doing it more consistently. Yeah. And I just noticed it's mainly on my long runs, like when I go to cross timbers or like Big Cedar or any of those, where my baseline, like my easy pace is more manageable going uphill. That's where I notice it the most. And so I can still, like generally when I'm on a long run, I forget some running podcast I heard that I think it was the Extra Mileage show where they were talking about when you should hike versus when you should run, and they said it's about a 15% grade. It's more efficient to hike than to run, and so I had already sort of incorporated that into my long runs, but now that I'm more conscious of it, I was able to like push myself a little bit up hills and be more cognizant and more aware of the improvement really mainly in how easy it felt to basically just go up the hill versus like, I don't know, like my endurance with climbing. And so I guess at a very basic level, it was one night before I was one of my cross timbers runs that I actually did I think it was a 45-minute weighted vest hike. And it was literally like, I guess the metaphor I would use is it's like using a donut before you get in the batter's box, because my calves were sore enough, but it's almost like it activated them in the sense that they weren't trashed. So the next morning when I went to do those hills, they didn't feel as bad because like I feel like some of the adaptation had already taken effect. And so that was my epiphany. And I don't really have a spot I can tell you a timestamp or anything, but it was really in January that it took off for me, and I really And so what I did was, at least for my running habits, I've tried to make them so so it's like it's easier than staying inside. And what I mean by that is, like, when I first started running and training for marathons, I set up a system, set up routes from my front door, so I had no excuse. Like, I found myself being more likely to not go run if I had to drive somewhere to do it. And so did the same thing here. I have a Planet Fitness literally 5 minutes down the road. I can walk there. And so what I started doing is just getting that mentality and making the weighted vest hike something that, I mean, if it's crappy weather outside, it's indoors, obviously. But just make it the easier of the options. So that I really didn't have an excuse. And not necessarily from like a self-deprecating, but just like removing the extra effort that it takes to do the workout makes the workout that much easier to just do, because you just like, okay, well, throw my shorts on and run out the front door. So and that's really what solidified the weighted vest hike. But it really was in January. And I was at Big Cedar this last weekend, and like it's very subtle, but you can feel the difference that the weighted vest hikes do. And so actually recently, I want to say the past 2 weeks, as the speeds get more comfortable and I don't feel as challenged, I'll actually do intervals. So like I'll I don't know, do 5 minutes at 3 miles an hour and then turn it up to 3.5 until I try to hold it for like 2 minutes. And then if I'm getting out of breath, I'll go down to 3 and just like kind of randomly do that to push myself just a little bit. And I don't know, mix it up, make it fun.
Yeah. Well, and then we talked about this when we were talking about the weighted vest hikes. You start out and you feel like death. It's really hard at first. And you're like, oh my gosh, why is this so hard? Just walking uphill on a treadmill with a weight vest on. And then really it doesn't take long at all for your body to adapt. But the area that I noticed it the most is just less. I just feel like my legs, muscle breakdown is, it takes a lot longer for your muscles to break down or for you to feel that fatigue in your muscles, like during long events. So I feel like in these upcoming races, you're going to really be able to tell a difference between Lugaroo and even though Bighorn is 20 times the elevation that you had at Lugaroo, I think you'll still be able to tell a big difference in that.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I'm all in at this point.
So we were going to talk about Ian Sharman's minimum velocity, and that kind of ties in with, practicing hiking. But I mean, most people in a race are not going to, in a 100-miler, are not going to run every step. And so Ian's whole philosophy was, if you get more efficient at walking or at hiking, then you're reducing the amount of time that you're spending. You're reducing that, you're making yourself faster when you walk. And so that makes you faster overall. And so that's one of the reasons behind the weight vest hikes. I like the weight vest hikes just because you can add volume. It's really, you're going uphill, so your injury and you're hiking, the injury risk is minimal, very low. And so it's just a good way to add some, to tweak your fitness in a different way. Oh, tire drag.
Yeah, so that was a question
Yeah.
that we've, because I think Sunday, so DDR has a tire drag out at the levee. I've tire dragged before. So I think, I don't know if someone had posed that question to us, because, well, for me, since I do my weight vest hikes indoors on the incline, but also will go outside as well, because unfortunately Fiona is a faster hiker than me, so we can compete that way. But so I'm gonna let Jen tackle the question on the benefits for both.
Tire drag.
Yeah.
I mean, I did feel benefits on my posterior chain. Obviously it's working your hamstrings and your calves, just like you are on a weight vest hike. I just am not convinced now that I've done both. I really feel like weight vest hikes are more bang for your buck. I think it's more effective. And I don't have any data to prove that. It's just my own feeling. Like I said, I've done them both. And if I was to say, oh, should I do a tire drag today or a weight vest hike? I would choose a weight vest hike every time at this point.
It's also easier to store a weight vest. I mean, I have a tire because I was like, oh,
Yeah,
I'm going to join the tire drag.
Yeah.
But then it's a far drive for me.
Yeah.
And the tire, it's like a normal car tire. So it's not as heavy as my vest, which I can just throw in a closet. Unlike my tire, which I have to figure out, okay, where can I put this thing?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
I think Andrew took out his spare tire to put his tire drag tire in his trunk.
Well,
And then
and
he got a flat tire.
Oh,
I think that's what the story
Oh,
was.
That's
Oh,
classic.
It sounds
Andrew.
about right. Yeah.
that bless his heart.
Yeah. So another question that actually someone had posed to me about improving on fast hikes, and the question it was actually today, and I'll let all you address it, but he was asking tips on how to walk faster because for me it's probably just a mindset change, and it goes to Ian Sharman's article too about minimum velocity, where we've always, I think almost all runners, treat it like a weakness. Oh, I cannot, even when, well, not now, but when you get into it, I can't walk during this, and then a lot of times when we're walking, we're kind of zoned out, and we're probably doing like a 30-minute pace, and a lot of it is if it's something that you train for, even without a weight vest, if you train to walk fast, I have a few athletes who can drop down to like a 12-13 minute pace. So if they're walking like that and they're running like a 9-10 minute pace, they're really not slowing down much. But is it just obviously there's some technique involved, because if you try to walk fast for an hour, your hips might just snap in two. But is it more just a mindset change that this is part of your strategy, and it's not like you chose to walk fast so you can run fast later? Is it just shifting it to treat it like this is part of your strategy? It's not something that you
Oh, hello, Kitty.
that you have to do because you can't run anymore right now. So I'll let Dylan tackle that one first.
all right. So
Perspective.
I think for me, it really comes back to that. I believe it's extra on my list. I'm not sure, but that episode where I heard the 15%, because what that did for me is it made me realize that hiking is part of the strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I wasn't as into the weighted vest as I am now, but it implanted in my brain that hiking is, although it's to some it's a taboo word, and I honestly think the ego is part of the reason most ultra runners don't do enough, is because people just think if I'm not going 100, why should I go? And I mean, I get it. I've been there before, but I think it's really, like, to your point, when I started thinking about that, I started thinking of like whether I termed it minimal velocity or minimum velocity or not. Like you try and average out the whole pace. So
Right.
if you're running fast, but you're spending time at aid stations, like it's canceling itself out. So that's really where hiking was relevant for me. And also in my transition from road to trail, I would hike a lot because I would notice my ankle strength and just like my overall joints strengthening, like for my road running, and that's just from hiking. And so I really made that connection then. And when it comes to vests, so I actually use it's a rucksack. I don't know if you know the brand Go Ruck.
Yeah.
But it's the Rucker 3.0. So I actually have 2 slots in the back for weights. Currently I only have one at 30, but I could potentially go up to 60 if I wanted to. So I'm living luxuriously in the weighted vest department. So to Kim's point, it's easy to store. But for me, I find that when I push myself, like hence with the weighted vest height, or with the intervals that I was mentioning earlier, I've noticed that when I go faster, what's up, Andrew?
What
Uh,
up?
that it's almost like when you're flowing when you run, when you almost don't feel like it's an up and down, it's more of just like a fluid motion forward. I try and emulate that for hiking. So as soft as I can land on my feet. I know obviously when you hike, naturally you're heel to toe, but as much as I can, I try to land on the balls of my feet. And it's almost like trying to blur the lines between hiking and running for me. That's so part of it's a mindset, but part of it too is just being conscious of the biomechanics while you're stepping, and noticing the impact.
I mean, for me, my biomechanics, like when I start power hiking, whatever, my I make sure that I shorten my stride because I am notorious for heel striking, and I actually waste more energy over striding than if I just take short, choppier steps. And I also just engage different muscles. I can feel different muscles burn as I'm power hiking. I can't get down to a 12-minute, but I did do a 13:45 on that Loop A hill. I think for most times that I did it. So I felt like it was doing pretty good. When like coaches say, move your arms faster to run faster, it's the same thing with power hiking. You make fun of all the grandmas and grandpas like walking around the mall, but the way they are walking, other than shaking your hips as much, like really move your arms like that and just kind of like power through. And it helped me be able to run more later on for sure. Because once I hit the top of the hill, instead of dying trying to run the whole hill, I power hiked it. And then I did have to really convince myself to get back to running. But once I started running, I was able to pick the pace back up and last longer.
Now, Andrew, since you're on now, you can talk about how Matt Petty power hiked your butt off at Dana Peak. So that should.
I think we're good.
No, you're not the host.
We got to rub salt in the wound.
Great. Let's see here. I was running fast, and then I wasn't. Then I saw him, and then I felt my world crumble beneath me. And 21 miles later, here I am. So that's about it. Yeah, he was one of the fastest power hikers I've been with, him and my other friend Jenny. But it's just something they do with their hips, and it's just like I was mesmerized staring at this guy's backside, and not just any guy, literally my mortal enemy. And I'm just stuck with him. It's like a cruel joke that this world is imparted upon me, that I have to spend 21 miles with this guy and just watching him from behind, or else I'm gonna lose him. So I had no choice but to just like shuffle run and then walk, shuffle run, walk, and while he's just strutting it like a mall walker. It's just, I don't know. Yeah, it made me realize I need to work on it, and something I did reach out a few times to with Jen, and other times I just tried it on my own and didn't say anything. And then I started weighted vest walking, and I think I'm getting better. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I think I'm getting better, and then I actually do it with someone else, and it's like, oh no, it's not better. It's just
I don't blame you for
terrible.
being not as good at power hiking because you're tall. Us short people, we are constantly speed walking. One step is two of our small steps, man.
Sure, I am a tall glass of water. You're right. It's like,
Oh man.
Swedish stallion, everyone.
So Andrew, you missed the previous talk about the weight vest hike versus tire drag. Now you've done both, and I heard you replaced your spare tire in your car with a tire drag tire, and that didn't work out so well either. So why don't you compare the two? What do you think? What do you like best? What do you think is more beneficial personally to you? Pros and cons of each.
I only did tire dragging once, and that was with Elisa Norman, which her goal was to torture me and just so it's not a fair comparison. She made me work, but I forgot how it was like a 30 something pound tire, and it wasn't really much work for me. So she's like, oh, you need a bigger tire. And so they gave me a bigger tire, and it was too big. So I put it in my trunk, replaced my donut, and I haven't used it. So it's just dead weight in there. But I started weighted vest after Jen kept pressuring me to do it, and I was like, I'm good. And then 3 months later, it's like, all right, I'll see what's on Amazon. And then 2 months later, I finally bought something. And and I'm in love with it now, to be honest. At first, I just did it on flat surfaces because I work at like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. So, but then I started doing the treadmill incline hike, and it's an intense workout, and I think it's really helped my speed on flats in general. Like I've been running faster lately on flats. It's not saying much, but it's like, oh wow, I really do think that one, the few months I've been doing incline treadmill hikes, I felt like it's been helping better. But I really can't compare it to the one time I tire dragged. So, but I should do that. I'll try tire dragging again.
Yeah, that's okay.
So,
Just
no,
stick with the
we'll
weight vest
see.
hike.
I think
We'll
it's
just
on my
stick with the weight
schedule. I think it's
Let's
on my
get a
schedule.
coach.
No, there will never be a tire drag on your schedule.
Yeah, you think I'm paying you, but in reality, it's the other way around. So, okay. All right.
Oh my gosh.
You have your hands full, Jen.
Yes, don't we
Well,
all?
here's the thing I'm curious about tire dragging. What exactly the difference between the shoulder straps and the waist straps? Because you're obviously working different muscles too. So
True.
Well,
Yeah.
if you did the waist strap, it would be more applicable for. Well, I guess we can level set, and for the people that may not be, all our listeners that aren't in Texas and wondering why we're talking about incline hikes and tire drags, but for for runners training for longer ultras, mountain ultras, like Dylan, Jen, and Bighorn, we have hills, some, but we don't have a sustained hill. You don't have anything where you can train to do a 6 mile climb at the start of a race. That's a 15-20% grade. So we have to simulate the climb somehow, because no amount, you could do a hill repeat. You'd be up in a minute and a half, and then you have to run back down. So you just you can't train for the physical and also the mental part of just grinding out a climb that's going to take you an hour, where you just put your head down and try not to look up too much and just climb. So, the tire drag and the weight vest hike, obviously on the incline, do both. The tire drag, if you wear it around your waist, it engages your posterior chain, and you're going to be really working your glutes. Now, if you wear the the harness
about
up
that.
top, I don't
feel like
think
that-
it's, yeah.
It depends on your posture, I feel like, because
Right.
if you collapse in,
Yeah.
it's just going to mess with your posture versus if you're standing up straight, it might help strengthen your core, but I wouldn't do that for a sustained amount of
I
time.
just don't. I don't know if that would be good for your back. Number one, that I would worry about that, because when I would drag a tire, I would have to be conscious about just keeping my hips moving so that I didn't let my hips collapse back and get it. Which is why I like the weight. One reason I like weight vest hikes better, I feel like there's just a less injury risk there. I do think there's a little bit of an injury risk with the tire drag, more so than a weight vest hike.
and yeah, that's one of the things I like, at least about mine, because mine's like a pack. It does correct my posture. So I have noticed my posture has improved since I've done those as well.
I've used two different kinds. I did one kind of like the makeshift kind. I had an old Camelback from hiking, just shoved a dumbbell in there. That really hurt my shoulders, and I feel like hurt my posture more than if I
Yeah.
just got an actual vest that distributed the weight better. So
Mhm.
I could definitely use the actual weight vest a lot longer than a homemade one. So they're definitely something to invest in, honestly, especially if you're going to be using them for the long run, like us Texas people, where it's pretty flat.
Definitely. Mine's got a plate, so the weight actually sits between my shoulder blades. So it's high up, so that's why.
Yeah. I have that high. Is it Hyperwear? Yeah. I like that because it's well, first of all, it's laced on the sides. So you can cinch it up, and then it's a little bit longer, and the way that the weights are distributed, it doesn't feel as bulky as a lot of weight vests do. So I've been really happy with that. That was definitely worth the money for me.
Yeah, it's definitely not cheap. But I have two vests. The first hyperwear that I bought when I first started, I think it was for Bighorn. And that's actually when I got the treadmill too for the house. So I wouldn't have to go to the gym, just to Dylan's point. So I had no excuses because the gym was like 20 minutes away so far, you know. So that
It
having
makes
it,
a difference.
yeah,
20 minutes.
It does.
sadly
Yes.
it can make a difference, but I've had that hyperwear and I still use it. The one thing, again, benefit of having one that spreads the weight out is you can also, you can jump off, do some push-ups, squats, lunges. So for Dylan, like, who gets bored on a treadmill, you can trick it up and add, and you still get your strength in.
Yeah.
So, every 5-10 minutes you can hop off and do a strength workout or a strength interval, and add some strain that way. So, and the benefit of having a vest that's, has the weight spread out is, you won't feel encumbered, depending on where some weight vests have the weight. So that's a good benefit there. But yeah, I'm really happy with that. But to Kim's point too, if you're just going to start doing weight vest hikes, you don't need to go buy anything. I wouldn't put a dumbbell in there. Maybe if you could find a flat plate, because that dumbbell might just rub on certain areas. But you can definitely just add some weight to a old backpack for now, and that actually can help because since it's moving around, I think one thing that Ian Sharman has done is he has a hyperwear, but he unzips his occasionally, and it works his core because he's having to stabilize. So he'll switch on and off where it's zipped up, and then he's maybe just trying to dial in a really fast one, and then he'll unzip it and he'll work his core a little bit more. So you can get benefits different ways by just switching out different kind of vests. So
I mean, if you're like English, if you're on the fence about a weight vest too, you don't always just have to wear it. You can also just say, oh, I'm also using it for weight training. You can just lift it up too. It is another way, like, okay, I can justify this purchase. We'll wear it. I can use it to lift as well. It'll be fine. If something's going to blow away, like we're at a picnic, just plop it down. I got this. Multifunctional. I have an English degree, guys. Bull BS is like my main thing. That's what the main degree is.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I walked into a Target with one right after a workout, and that was not a good choice.
Don't tell me you had a mask on too.
No, it's just like, first of all, I look like what I look like, plus the weighted vest. It looks like, this guy's up to something. I got questioned at the self-checkout counter, mad, just like it was insane. It never happened before. Like, she was like, did you scan all 3 of your M&Ms? It's like, yes, of course I did. Oh, I see that you did. Carry on. Never happened before without my weighted vest. So that's the benefit of taking the weighted vest out in public, is that you got a story to tell, like this one. So that's great.
I think it's Kevlar, probably.
Do you have
Also,
a shortage of stories to tell, Andrew?
No, I have a plethora or plethora, since I want to piss people off. But yeah. Anyways, also you can't drag a tire on a treadmill, so boom.
It's true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I will try anyways.
Video or it didn't happen.
That
Make
probably
sure
be
real
the-
video.
Your gains would not be as much as they would with the weighted vest.
That's
Just
true.
saying.
I dare you to try a tire drag with a bungee cord instead of the actual rope. You got to do sprints with it too.
Oh, me? You're talking to
Yes,
me?
you.
Sprints. I don't comprehend the word
With
sprint.
a bungee cord
Yeah.
instead of a rope
All right.
on your tire.
You'll be on the tire, so we'll see how fun it is for you.
Put Yoshi on the tire.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
Yoshi. I
Yoshi.
miss that guy. What a chonker.
Okay.
Oh
So
my
I think we probably got all our talk out for weight vest hikes and
Yeah.
power hiking. We're gonna, I guess we'll switch gears and we'll talk about Sasquatch Shuffle, which was the big race whenever probably a week ago by the time we put out this podcast. But it was a big race over the weekend. We're recording on a Monday. The race was a couple of days ago out in what's the name? Grapeland,
Great plan.
Grape land.
Mission, Texas.
grapes.
Mission
In the middle of
Tejas.
nowhere.
Middle
Yeah,
of nowhere.
middle of nowhere.
No
It's
signal
no
for
out
20
nowhere.
miles.
No.
It's called
Private
Grape
house
Land, but
land.
there's like no vineyards in
There's
sight.
no grapes.
Come on.
No.
No grapes, no
No
wine.
land, honestly.
There was plenty of land.
We'll see.
So,
There's definitely no cell service
yeah.
out there.
No.
Andrew
No.
was busy dressing up like Sasquatch, taking a lot of good pictures. I was gonna put together a montage, but I didn't have time, and there's like 100 pictures too, and that would take forever for me to download. So we're not gonna do that. So we'll let Andrew and Kim talk about. Well, maybe we'll let Andrew start first. Talk about his Sasquatch appearance, then we'll have Kim talk about her race and
Start from the very beginning
yeah.
here. Okay,
for it.
so 1991.
Oh no.
No, too far back.
Yep.
So this was my second year, and honestly, this is the second year of the race. So second year doing Sasquatch. Last year, I was asked to do it after I was forced to dress as a beaver in order to stay warm at Rocky Raccoon. Word got to Rob, the director of Trot, that he's looking for someone to dress up as Sasquatch. So they Stephanie, our friend Stephanie, recommended me because it's like, this guy made one hell of a beaver, which okay, I guess that's a compliment somewhere. And so I'm like, all right, I'll do it. And it was probably one of the most fun things I've ever done. I got to run 5 miles in a costume barefoot on a pretty rooty trail, chasing other runners and scaring them. And they were all very receptive, and it was just, I don't know, it was pretty fun. So this year I got to do it again. A little colder this year. I wanted to change things up a bit, so I busted out my jacket wardrobe, like my bomber jackets, my windbreakers. I wanted to add some zest to the Squatch. You know, he's a very he's improved over the year, and now COVID's less of an issue. So, and that really manifested with the runners. They were a lot more receptive. Like some of the, I think the photos should be coming out this Thursday, but we had some pretty insane photos, and I think only 5 of them are released so far, but just everyone was all up on the squash, dude. It was great. It was, but it wasn't just that. It was, I've never, Sasquatch Shuffle is a very unique race in that it's a figure 8, and every 2 to 3 miles, you come back to the same central aid station. You're constantly seeing people. You share about a quarter mile of a trail. Both loops do. And so it's just a constant influx of runners. You see everyone all the time. Because of that, it feels like there's like less pressure, less fear of messing up. And so everyone's just out there pushing themselves or just having fun. It's very unique, and you know, it could be repetitive, you know, especially the 100Kers doing that loop 10 times, or each loop 10 times. But I don't know, it was, I was a little hesitant going in. You know, I haven't been doing a lot of things recently, and so I was like, oh, do I really have the energy to do this? But once I got there, just the environment and just seeing people like Kim and other runners, it was just, you know, just it's just that all went away, and it's a great environment. I'm a little upset that they're not doing Sasquatch Shuffle again, but it was a hell of a end to it. I mean, there's a lot to say, but I don't know where to begin. So I don't know. Kim, please help me.
It wasn't the one in the Sasquatch suit though.
No. Oh yeah, by the way, hottest thing I've ever been in. It was
Like a shag carpet.
It felt
soft.
like, I don't know how else to describe it. It felt like I was waterboarding my own self in the mask. Anytime I looked up, just the pools of sweat, and then there was for some reason the runners just love staying together for photos. That's not the best way to take photos. Please spread apart. So I'm just like, constantly running after a runner, to turn around and chasing another runner, just back and forth, back and forth. I can't breathe. I thought I was about to have a respiratory attack. And Jeremiah, the camera guy, thank God, he's just like putting up with my shenanigans. And I'm, I don't know if he knows how to do CPR, but I told him, I was whispering for help to one of the runners, like, just please run slower. I can't keep this up. This is insane. But I think it will really show in the photos, and it just made it all the better. I don't know. Anyways,
I mean, I was always excited to see you, no matter
Yeah.
how much pain I was in. I'm like, oh, there's Andrew.
Yeah, seeing Kim was great. You know how Kim, well, I know how Kim is. She's an insanely talented runner, unfortunately. I did not expect her to be that great when I started talking with her and running with her. That didn't last very long. So it's just like, but you see her, she's all smiles, but then she'll whisper something like, I need to rethink my life. It's like, okay, that's not congruent with what your expression is, or just, but yeah, I don't know, it was a blast.
Speaking of when you first met me, I met you on a very first, like in person, like a year ago, and you fell on the trail in front of me. And the fact that at Sasquatch you did a roll in front of me, like that just completed it full circle 1 year later.
Was that at North Shore?
Yeah.
Oh, they had the
remember that
photo.
day.
Where you did the
You-
mermaid fall.
You could probably
Was
put
this
that
where-
photo in there
Was
right
this
there.
where you had your year-long knee wound? Is this where that began?
No,
This
that
is-
was
Did he already have the
before.
knee
This is
wound?
the fall photo that made the DDR cover image.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah,
for-
I believe I was in banana pants, shorts,
You
and
were. They were
I
the talk
face
of the
planted
back
in
of the
front of
line.
John Lai, and I was
But your form in the image, your form,
Yeah.
you're like perfect. You're like this.
It's a mermaid fall.
gained like 30
Yes.
pounds in one photo. It was insane. It's like that's a blob falling. But yeah, I did do a lot of rules, cartwheels,
He went
jumping
full out.
jacks, and push-ups, trying to impress whoever. And I don't know if it worked or not. I haven't got any messages back, but I'm trying.
Give it another year.
That's funny.
Teammate talking you up over there. All right, where were we, Sasquatch?
How was your race experience? Let me take over. I'll take
Yes.
over the podcast.
Yes.
Hello, welcome to the SquashCast. I'm your host, Andrew Marvin, aka Squash, the Swedish Squash. Kim Endo, please explain to us, as my protege, how this race went for you. Just from the beginning, take it to the top.
From the beginning. Well, I ran a 10K the weekend before and it was roasting. Got huge blisters on the bottom of my feet. So I was worried that I was going to absolutely destroy my feet out there. Thankfully, because it was cold and even with all the downhills, my feet actually turned out really okay. No blisters, no nothing. I drove down with Drew the day before. We weren't going to camp. It was too cold. So got to know Drew more. We went to Applebee's when we got, because we stayed in Palestine, 'cause that was the closest and one of the cheaper options instead of camping. So we went to Applebee's. I was a little concerned it was going to turn into a Crapplebee's on the trail, but it did not. We did good. It just made
Well-
the mid early morning, like I was good, taken care of, no issue on the trail. I see
So-
the wheels turning, Jen.
I'm just like, of all the restaurants, and you went to Applebee's.
I let Drew pick.
Okay, this is where I would have said, I'm sorry, but you can choose any restaurant except Applebee's. Oh, that
Ironically, there
place
was
is
like
so
a
terrible.
Chili's just up the road. It was
Well,
slightly better.
Chili's is just a saltier version of Applebee's, but I mean, it works. I like their skillet queso.
That sure is pretty good. I mean, for me, like usually when I'm in town, my pre-race meal is a taco salad from this little Mexican restaurant up in Richardson called Dos Charros and a large margarita.
Oh,
Yes, I will drink before a race. It is great. But yeah, race morning was fine. It was cold. I brought like 3 different outfits because I didn't know what I was going to wear. Eventually ended up with the Exoskin tank top base layer.
mhm.
And I never ran in one of the Blaze Trails t-shirts. They're so soft and I see everyone else running them. So I thought it would be a good idea to, test it out on a race day. It worked out fine. I wore it for the first 3 miles, then I got hot. I guess for Sasquatch, really, I was mainly concerned about the counting and the figure 8 loops because you hit the same spot all the time. Even when we were just standing there getting the pre-race like rundown, runners were going the wrong way to the finish line and start line. So that was a little concerning, but they fixed it by the time the 50K came around for the first loop. I was only warned about the one large hill on loop A and one large hill on loop B. Everyone else forgot to mention the other hills in between. I was on fire for that race. Like we were talking earlier in the podcast about power hiking and weighted vests. I haven't done a lot of weighted vest workouts, but I have worked on power hiking and actually tackling inclines because I feel that's where I got roasted at running the rows. And I power hiked the poo out of those things. I tried for a 13:45 minute pace on them, got it for most of the part except towards the end of the race. My quads, my hamstrings, and my butt were just done. The main part of the race, I don't know where I'm at in my story here, but we're here. I'll get back on track with, I guess, nutrition. So for me, like I'm not very good at eating while running. It's just never been a thing for me. I came from road running, like all you get at aid stations are water and maybe Gatorade. And then even like just growing up through cross country and stuff, once I finish running, I'm not hungry. And so during running, I'm definitely not hungry. I've worked on it, and thankfully that aid station was every 3 miles. So I was like, okay, loop A, usually don't need to grab something every 3 miles, but for sure at the end of loop B, grab M&Ms. I do peanut M&Ms because they got some fats and carbs.
They're so good.
They're so good.
They're so
They're
good.
So good.
the best M&M. I'm just gonna.
Oh yeah, I agree. And then a shot of pickle juice. I hate pickle juice, but I know it works for me. And so I just kind of kept track of each loop with my nutrition. I would count down, okay, one more loop until you grab more M&Ms, one more loop until you needed more pickle juice, things of that sort. Because the 5 loops, that's a lot for me to count. I couldn't count to 4 in track.
No, I understand.
It's rough.
Hey, I have to use rocks when I'm doing hill repeats to count. So
That's a smart way to do it.
well, I think Greg may have suggested that at one point in time.
That's why he's coach, Coach Greg. It's fine.
None of you use your watch. I mean, we have a lap button on.
I know, but if you've run a mile already, and
Right, then it
you
just
start,
messes it
I
up.
can't do it. I can't do run. I can't math when I run. But I can count
Yeah.
rocks.
Then if you press it when you go to the bottom, you have to figure out, does it count? Is it
Come on,
odd
even
the number
odd.
of climbs you're on, or
Like,
Yeah,
so
I
I do
can't
it for my Thursday night hills. I mean, you just subtract 1, and then it starts. So it's starting at 2, and then so every odd number is a downhill. Every
see,
even
that's
number is
confusing.
Yeah, I just can't
Too
believe you
much.
guys are
I
counting.
like the rocks.
Can't believe, I don't know why counting's
Just keep
involved.
going until you fall
just
over.
do it. Yeah,
Anyways.
Yeah.
It's
But, like-
better just to go until you get like 1K a vert, so you don't have to count.
yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
That's why I'm
There you
just
go.
overshooting my training plan, which I thought was just a mild suggestion to begin with. But yeah.
Oh my God. But yeah. But yeah, I mainly use my stops at the aid station to count my loops, figure out what I'm doing with my life. It was great hitting the aid station because I could also throw a bunch of things off. Like I was pretty much stripping on the course. I took my long sleeve off. I took my gloves off. I threw one water bottle down at a point. I was able to grab another water bottle with my tailwind on the last loop because I was done eating by then. I messed up and grabbed M&Ms on loop A and loop B. And that just said, my stomach is just like, nah, we're good. No more. We're fine. But I knew for sure I have multiple things I have to try and think of while running, which is difficult because I can't think while running. Thankfully, Greg understands this, that I tend to go out fast, like way too fast. I just hate crowds. I just don't like being in them. So I just tend to zoom off. And if it's cold, it's even worse. I just keep going fast. And he shared my pace chart beforehand, or at least I saw it beforehand. And I was like, I'm on pace. It's fine for now. I could see the woman that was behind me that eventually won the whole thing. She stayed behind me for 2 loops, and I was afraid to slow down for one because I knew where she was, which is
Mhm.
difficult because you're like, okay,
Yeah.
I need to run my own race. I had to keep thinking,
So hard to do
okay,
that it's so hard to do that when
hard.
someone's right in front of you or right behind you.
Yeah. And it didn't help that she was wearing like bright orange, bright blue, like Denver Bronco colors. So I could see her at all times. I mean, it helped that I could see her, but it really didn't. Um, so I had the fear of slowing down on that. And I was losing control of my race a little bit. Unlike Dino Valley, my first 50K, where I was just completely done with it at that point. I'm like, I'm just going out, see what I'm going to get. This 50K, I knew I could do it and do it well. So there was the pressure on that. She passed me on loop A on the third loop, the third full loop. And I had to really mentally think, okay, keep yourself back. Don't play this game early. You have to really think of it. It's just such a horrible plan here, but you have to think for the long run. Like, okay, if I burn myself out now, we have 2 more loops. They're only 6 miles each, but that really adds up, especially with all the inclines you have to do. There is a hill directly up to the finish line that you have to do 10 times because you hit it each time from loop A and loop B. It was horrible, but I saw Andrew a lot on that part. So it was great. But really it was a very mental race for me this time because again, I had to think, okay, you can do this, you know what you can do. We're out here to compete this time, but you don't want to burn yourself out where you just kind of fall off. So for the rest of the race, my strategy at the aid stations, because I don't really eat at them, I know what I want. And so I just grab it and go. Peanut M&Ms, super quick to grab off the table, take a shot of pickle juice, and I'm gone. The thing that took me the longest was refilling my water bottles. And what took me even longer sometimes was getting them back in my naked belt because my hands were cold and they were just fumbling around. So we just kept playing a game of leapfrog. She would stop at the aid station because this monster of a woman did not carry hydration. She was amazing, absolutely crazy. Like I am rooting for her. If anyone knows John Lai, or if you don't know him, look him up. His calves, she had the female version of his calves. No wonder she could like run the inclines and hike them so well. I thought I had good leg genes from my family, but dang. So it's just a constant game of leapfrog. I mean, I got to look at her calves from behind, so it was fine. But it was that constant thing of, okay, how far should I let her go? How far should I take this game of, okay, keep up the pace, but don't slow down? Because I knew the entire time that I was going way too fast and that I needed to slow down. Thankfully, the inclines helped me slow down, unlike running the rows where the inclines weren't as steep, where I could run them more. These I actually had to stop and power hike, but they really did help me because I did pass a lot of the other 50K runners on that. And it did give me time to catch up to her every now and then because she ran most of them until the end. She was actually power hiking them. In Loop B, there were these 2 stairways that you pretty much have to hold on to the rails to go down. Otherwise, you're going to bust your butt because they were a little slick. It rained the day before. I keep going on like trains of thought and knowing where I'm
The
going.
cozy train. Keep going.
Yeah,
Good,
keep going.
that's a
It's the
course
crazy
description.
train,
It's a course.
right? Course description. Yep. I think Loop B was definitely like the slower loop for me, but it was the better loop because it slowed me down. There were a lot of descents on the entire figure 8, which I love descents because I'm young, dumb, and stupid. I will take them recklessly at this point. I will not really take them slow. I did have to take some of them slow because I knew there were roots down there that my feet were not quick enough to not twist an ankle on. And because there were a bunch of leaves towards the end of Loop B, they were covering all of the large logs and roots. So everyone was going slow on those. I slipped a few times, did not fall, but I slipped. And I think the thing, I will forever think this, that the thing that kept me from catching up to her more or from maybe winning it is that I went to the bathroom on loop 4. I actually I actually took time on loop 4 to go to the porta potty, which for one, they were kind of creepy porta potties. They were like old fashioned. You didn't know if they were locked or not.
Like an outhouse.
Yeah, pretty much at that point.
I
Pretty
remember.
much. But I mean, they weren't far from the start line. I was debating since loop 2, like towards the end of it, because I don't really sweat. I have to drink a lot more water, I feel like, and I still don't sweat. So I had to pee at that point, or at least I thought I did. I knew I would have had to do it at some point. And there are plenty of trees out there. Plenty. The trees were tall and beautiful. Highly recommend going out there. But with the way the course was set up, because it was a figure 8, there's no good angle. Just kind of like drop your pants without mooning everyone, because you'll turn a corner and then you'll see around the tree. So I was like, loop 4.
Did you have on compression pants or shorts?
I had on long shorts, like just some from
I have
Moiselle.
mastered, I don't want to brag, but I have mastered peeing standing up with shorts on.
What?
Yeah.
I need to get with you and have you teach
So
me.
come run with me one day and I'll show you how.
Okay. Andrew popped off with that one.
Uh-oh.
I'll have to get with you, Jen. Dang. But yeah, like I will forever think, like, is that the one thing that kept me from catching up to her? Because we were 2 minutes apart. I was not in the
Oh.
bathroom for 2 minutes, but it's still that I could have closed the distance. Maybe if I saw
Yeah.
her more,
Next time,
then
just pee in your pants.
you're right. The thing was, Drew drove us down. I didn't want to sit there like after peeing my pants and drive back.
Yes.
Hey, sorry, Drew. Like, I need to hop in your car. You got to take me
Do you
home.
have a towel in your car?
I did have a towel in my tote because I like to lay on the ground afterwards.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. I was just too dead to actually put the towel down. I just laid down. But yeah, that's my main takeaway is I drank enough water. I did great on my hydration this
Good
time. I'm pretty
job.
proud. She was a beast and took no hydration. I mean, she stopped at the aid station and it was every 3 miles pretty much. But yeah, she didn't have anything on her. And I'm like, is it really my bladder that kept me from doing what I needed to do? But I was messaging with Greg earlier, and when I have to pee, like I don't want to run faster. It
Yeah.
doesn't work.
It's the same
No.
with me. Once
So it's
you
like,
once
damn
I
if
feel the
do, damned
urge,
if I don't.
that's all I can think about. And then I feel like I do feel like I'm going slower. So, I was mostly teasing you that, the pee break cost you the win, but
Yeah.
if it was me, I would have peed, and then I felt like after I pee, I'm like, oh, now I'm faster again. Then you take off, so it probably all evens out. And I do want to go back that when we were talking before the race, specifically about goals, you'd message and you're like, you think I can run under 6? I was like, well, yeah, but I think you can run a lot faster. So we unfortunately Sasquatch doesn't have a lot of race history, and now I guess it's the last year, so there's not much at all. But it's a similar as far as elevation gain to Tyler, which you did the 22 miler out there, and you wanted to go under 6 hours, but we came up with a goal of going. We thought you could run 5:40, which would have won the race last year.
Yeah.
And so that kind of goes to, and we looked at splits compared to Tyler, and it was pretty close. So I thought it was a pretty good goal. Well, you smashed it. You ran 5:19, so 20 minutes faster. You just didn't slow down much. The first 12 was it? Oh, I'm sorry, it's not 12. I can't do my math. The 6 mile split or the 10K split, you were like 1 minute off the predicted pace. So I was like, okay, she's doing great.
You predicted me going off super fast. Very
No,
well.
that's right. And then but you didn't slow down late in the race. And you're again only 2 minutes off. So I did want to talk about racing. Okay, so a couple different goals when you go into a race. Race for performance was what we were going to, and then racing for outcome, which would be, I'm going to win, I'm going to podium. Um, we set a realistic A goal that if you'd hit it, on another day, you probably would have won. So I think, and I'll let Jen talk about that more about, a lot of times everyone wants to do well.
Mhm.
And so do you go into a race thinking, if I race to my full capacity, if the weather is nice like that and it's a, nice cool day and don't have to worry about 80-degree heat, I can run this time, and this time would put me at this place versus I want to finish top 3 and then it's 100-degree, or no, just going for, I want to win regardless of who shows up, because sometimes Jeff Ball shows up to a race and he beats me like by 30 minutes and I have the best race of my life. And you can't just, you got to put everything in perspective as far as the race goes going in and your finish afterwards. Like, you destroyed the time goal that we had for you. Maybe you came up short by 2 minutes, but you raced. This is your second 50K. You had a great race, killed the time goals, but someone faster just showed up, and there's always going to be someone faster. Even Jim
Yes.
Walmsley loses races occasionally. So, yeah, I'll hand it off to Jen as far as the performance versus outcome going into a race. But I think you did great, and you have the right perspective finishing. Obviously, you're very happy being second.
Yeah, I am
female,
very happy
so,
with
yeah.
it. I crushed the PR that I originally had, so we were doing a good goal right there.
Yeah, well, I do definitely think, I mean, I know that you were worried about this girl, but it sounds like you pretty much stayed in your own race. And when you run your own race, usually better outcomes happen. When you start, oh, sorry, that's Trip. Um, and I don't know, some people thrive on that, but it's, oh my gosh, it's the dog brigade. Someone must have driven up in our driveway. Oh God. Now Trip has to alert all the puppies to let them know something's happening. Hang on just a second. 1 second.
How's Allie doing?
You waited till she got up to say that, huh?
Yeah, of course I did.
I
I'll
mean,
say
I
it to
can
her
text
face.
Allie and have her come on.
I'm excited.
Allie left literally 3 minutes after we got home. So I'm
That's
sure
my
she's
Like,
like,
student.
bye, Mom.
That's my student. She knows when to leave.
but now, like, I don't know, for me, if I start trying to think like I want to do, like I usually say I wanted to do like top 10%, or like grindstone, I wanted to do top 10, but I really didn't think I could. And that causes me a lot of anxiety going into a race. So I have to personally, I mean, it's good to set goals. Like I wanted to do, 30 hours at grindstone. Well, that wasn't my goal, but that was Greg's goal. And once I got out there, I couldn't worry about the other women out there. I just had to run my own race. And then, it ended up pretty good because I ended up 7th, which was a lot better than I thought I was going to do. And I think I just think it's different for different people, but I think for a lot of us who are just doing this, as a hobby, and we're trying to be the best we can be, we've got all our other life stressors. We just have to give ourselves some grace. And remember that, and my favorite quote is, races are a celebration, not a test. Because
I had to tell myself that during the race.
Yeah, because, here's the thing, and it's just like the STAR test, right? You may be feeling really crappy on the day that the state says you have to take the STAR test, and you may not get a good score, but that does not in any way reflect your intelligence or what you actually know. And it's the same thing with races. Like some days are not going to be good out there.
Mhm.
And just because we don't have a good day on the race course doesn't mean that we're not worthy, that we're not good at what we do, that we're not talented. It just means we had a bad day. Like, and that's another David Roach quote: bad days are unlucky, good days are earned. So, Kim, you earned your good day this weekend.
Thanks, Jen.
But yeah, I mean, for me, I just have to, and like, I have another, like at Grindstone, I was really good about, trying not to worry about where the other women were. I did ask quite often, but I mean, I wouldn't say that I was like worried about catching up. I just wanted to know where I was,
Mhm.
where I was checking out. Now, when I ran Rockledge, I attached myself to this girl's hip because I knew she was fourth. I mean, because the way that race starts, you can see. And
Mhm.
I knew she was fourth, and I knew I was fifth. And I was like, I cannot let her get out of my sight. And I overran that thing for the first like 14 miles, and I paid for it
Yeah.
10 times over in the last half of the race. And I was like, you're such an idiot, because once again, you didn't run your own race. So it's just good to stay in your own head, just do your own thing, because that girl ended up dropping and I ended up fourth overall in first masters. And, I don't know, maybe she was trying to stay away from me and just ran herself into the ground too. Who knows?
Mhm.
But it's just important to always, just always run your own race. And then, if they're close to you at the finish, then just give it a little kick.
That's where you do get out right there.
Yeah, do get out there.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree on that, because the times that I haven't ran my own race, the first loop of Tyler running the Rose, I absolutely blew it. This young buck of a lady, I say young, and I'm apparently one of the
Yeah.
young ones of the
She
trail.
was even younger.
Yes, you're
Yeah.
young.
Yeah. She was in her teens versus me in my 20s. First loop, but the just came. You the better race.
Or her,
22. Yeah.
oh yeah, that was 22. But
Yeah.
yeah. All right.
Got a doggy
So
race.
what are our next races on the schedule? What's everybody got coming up?
Bluebell Half Marathon, ice cream.
Really?
Yes, down in Brenham, Texas.
Oh,
Come
nice.
on. You want to join?
Go to the Shiner one with you.
Ooh, I
She-
thought about that one.
Kim wants to do that one as well.
I want one of the beer steins, but I'm hoping it's a real stein and not just like a beer mug kind of thing.
Oh yeah. I know some people who have run that, but I can't remember about the swag. It's always sounded cool though.
Right?
Dylan, you got a pretty big race this weekend, right?
Yeah.
I think I honestly have done little to no research going in. I have 3 days of Silamo coming up, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I know the 50K course was released, and I think it's got about 6,000.
Yeah, just
feet
under
from it.
6.
Yeah. But then I guess what's that?
You don't know nobody knows about the other two races.
No,
they don't
according
release
to
it.
the lore, they won't reveal it until the day of, so we won't find out till Saturday.
Some people say all 3 days add up to close to 25,000 feet. I don't know. That just sounds like it's just too
I'd
much. But
I had heard more like 11, so I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. Well, yeah.
Well, if
that's-
the 50K has 6,000,
Yeah.
That
it
would be
probably
an
has a
easy
little more than
50K
11.
relative.
I would think like 18, but someone's like, oh, they've had 25,000 before, but also like I don't know. I don't get paid to do this, so I don't
So-
care.
Yeah, right. Well, actually, what you just said is the number one. That's my number one motivation. I don't get paid enough to to really stress about whether I place or not. I'm just out there to have fun. But honestly, for me, it's at this point it's all building up towards Bighorn. So I just look at Silamo as just give me the vert. I don't even care.
Yes.
Because I'm out there, I'm coming back to a campground. It's not like I have the temptation to go home and take a shower afterwards. Like I'm there for the weekend. And so yeah, I'm just kind of embracing the unknown.
Yeah, just keep your head up. Pay attention to the blazes because the trails out there are, you know, they're old Forest Service trails.
Mhm.
So that's sometimes hard to see. It's pretty easy to go off trail. You know, people have gotten lost. One guy got lost on the 50 miler and he had to sleep overnight, covered himself with leaves. They canceled the race on Sunday and everyone went out and looked for him. So,
Wow.
but that, you know, that was like a decade ago. I think the course marking has changed for the better since I ran it a long time ago. But before they would I think they poured like baking soda on the ground to make your turn. Sometimes you come flying off the trail and you don't see
Awesome.
it. So just
Dang, that's even worse than Hansel and Gretel. Not even baked
yeah,
goods, just baking soda.
yeah, but I think you know, now our GPS watches are a little bit better. At least you can backtrack. But yeah, just pay attention, follow those blazes, look around because the trails are just a little bit harder to follow than the ones that we're
my
that we're
gosh.
used to here. But it's beautiful. It's a
Take pictures.
super beautiful
definitely.
course. You'll love it.
Yeah, I'm totally looking forward to it. And actually, I think I read just last week or whatever in their race email that they're doing course markers so I'll just have to pay attention to when I need to turn.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
Andrew,
no, I'm really looking forward to it.
you keeping your secret?
Keeping my what?
Your upcoming race secret?
No, it's because I can't even tell you what my upcoming races are at this point. It's just everything's changing. I was going to
I
do
know
3
what
days.
your next one is, sir.
No, I don't even, I barely know who you are, to be honest. Like, it's just, first of all, how dare you? No, so I was originally going to do 3 days of Silmo. It's been an interesting year, a lot of stuff going on. I had to back out of some things and I puked myself out of the Black Canyon race. So that was pretty dope. Stoked about that. And so I'm just logistically I had to back out of Silmo. So I'm just going to do the Grasslands Marathon. Should be the same amount of vert as long as I'm steeped in this denial. So I'm pretty happy about that. And then I'll do Brambles a week later. So it's a fair trade-off. But I've learned over the past few months, you got a goal race, just make that your goal and this other stuff along the way. Not that 3 days of Silmo was a minor race, but I've learned to just say, okay, just let this go. If things aren't working out, don't force it. I'll make myself miserable. I work in mental health. I should know like, oh, this isn't, I should learn when to cut it off. And I knew Silmo, even if I did do it and I was successful, there's just a lot of stressors on it for me. And I'm a little bummed that I'm not doing it, but I'm excited to go back to Grasslands and see what I can do there after I had some issues there last year. So, and seeing some faces I haven't seen in a while. And then Brambles, a brand new course or a race.
It's gonna be beautiful. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be green. Don't you think it'll be green by next weekend?
Maybe.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I'm jealous. I messed up my race schedule. I didn't know Brambles was going to happen.
Yeah, I told
I want
Kim
wine after running.
she could come with me, and she was like, "No, Andrew, the last thing I want to do is come with you to Brambles."
No, I'm getting a tattoo that day.
And she decided to schedule a tattoo after I asked her. So it was like, okay, all right, you could have just said no, but that's cool. But my big goal at this point is just Moab, since I got into Moab, me and 2 other people. So just whatever takes me there and gets me ready. So yeah.
You're gonna be ready.
Oh yes, you will.
Yeah, Coach Jen's going to whip you into shape.
Yeah, whoever's coaching me.
Well, I thought it was all a suggestion.
Let's see. It's a very
It's a slight
expensive suggestion.
Yeah, mine's really open to interpretation.
All right, so let's let Andrew and Dylan. I guess we should have Stephanie come on, but why don't you guys plug your happy endings trail crew? Dylan,
What
why don't you
up?
sit up and show us that logo a little bit?
Happy endings. So happy endings was the idea at least was born during Rocky Raccoon, or I guess after Rocky Raccoon 2021, when a couple of amateurs, at least I consider myself an amateur at that point, were invited by Stephanie Stonebreaker to go crew and pace a couple of guys for their 100. And I'd say Friday night, we were considered the B team because I hadn't even, so I'd running the rows at this point, but I really didn't have much like knowledge regarding racing and whatnot. So I had forgotten, or should I say, just left a bunch of stuff at the door. So like my front door. So I had to go buy a bunch of stuff. Andrew showed up at like 10 o'clock in the beaver suit. And so I personally knew there was something special here when he said that he couldn't sleep horizontally. But no, it was really just the fact that you could get three people who didn't know each other that well at that point. And we crewed one runner to, I won't name names here. We crewed one runner to sub 24 and then the other runner to a finish. And for me, it was just the bonding and the fact that three people, like, I don't know, it really opened my eyes to the community and the power that the community has to uplift the runners themselves. Not that I went into it with a sort of a singular view of the runner is really the one. Obviously, they do most of the work, but without the support. So Stephanie, Andrew, and I thought it would be an interesting idea if initially we were to hire ourselves as crew and pacers, and basically to amateurs who they want to do well, they want to achieve their dreams, but they don't necessarily have the network of people to pull from. They don't necessarily, their spouses don't necessarily support their hobby, let's say, or they just don't know. The spouses aren't runners. They have kids, whatnot. So I don't know if you're familiar with Big Things Crewing, but they do something similar out in Colorado. And they're like crewing and pacing for hire. So we were essentially thinking of something like that. Truthfully, we're still working on a quote business idea, but figured at least get the community starting like to know each other, get them involved. So that's when we launched the Facebook group. And essentially the idea behind that is, yes, we'd like to have sort of a more premium service or incorporate that somehow, but really it comes down to the community and how we just wanted to give people a safe space. Not that running groups aren't safe to ask for pacing and crewing, but you just figure you have all that other talk and just the back and forth with the group that sometimes those get lost, whatnot. So at least the idea behind the Facebook group is that we create events for each race that our runners are going to. Obviously 50K or more, because you can't really have a pacer for 50K, but you can technically have a crew, I suppose. But that being said, this is kind of the start of it. Obviously, initially is with the and so that's at least my side of things. I'll let Andrew give his, but
Yeah, I guess there's two sides to this. Yeah, just So Happy Endings has been brewing for over a year now. We've always talked about it, and obviously last year was our first year of Dylan and I, and to a lesser extent Stephanie, really racing a lot. So it's like, oh, we want to do this. We want to help all these people, because Rocky Raccoon, the pacing job there again won't really go into detail, just the epic stuff that happened. But I was like, wow, that made me who I am now. It made me realize, oh, I can do some dumb stuff and survive, because Rocky got a little, but yeah. Then we were brand new, especially Dylan and I, and we raced a lot, so we were kind of doing our own thing. And so we every now and then we would meet up and talk about what we could do with Happy Endings. And we got shirts and we talked about what we could be doing. And we did individually help pace and crew people. We weren't all three together a lot. I think I would remember keeping track of, like, oh, hey, we're all together for the first time, second time, third time. So we were kind of busy a lot doing our own individual things. But I think now we're more focused this year, all of us individually, which means as a group, maybe we can start honing in on what our idea was with Happy Endings, which is not just us helping people, but generating a community, a place where everyone can come together and help each other. I mean, there's no way all three of us are going to be at every event, and we still have our own stuff going on, especially, but it's a great start. And Dylan and Stephanie definitely recently took the initiative to really like get it going. And I'll just like catch up and I'm like, oh wait, what's going on? I missed this. Oh, and it's like I need to get my act together. But I'm excited to see where this is going, and couldn't ask for more helpful people, especially Stephanie and Dylan, who is honestly probably the mastermind. He's the brains of the operation. I'm the bronze.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say you're the look.
It's that song, Money. Yeah. But yeah, I could be the looks too. I could be two out of three ain't bad, so I'll take it.
Oh, what's Stephanie supposed to be? Or leave her high and dry?
All right, Kim. Like,
put him on the spot.
She doesn't listen to stuff or watch things. She's always out running a trail every second that she's not working. Come on.
I'm gonna tell her to watch this one specifically when it comes out.
Yeah, so just see what happens, Kim.
Yeah.
Okay, just see I brought you into this world.
I'm gonna take you out.
Capable of. Oh, you would wish I would only take you out. So it's not a threat. I don't make threats. Come on.
Wait, can we put him in Zoom jail? He's already in Facebook jail all the time.
No, he's not. He's out.
No.
Is there a Zoom jail? Can you time me out? We'll find out. This ain't my first appearance. I
can mute you.
Yeah, that'd be great. You would love that power over me. Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes, and I'm excited to not help some people, Kim. You're on your own. Someone's gonna have to pour you those bowl of M&Ms. It's not coming from me.
Well, actually, if I remember correctly, Sasquatch last year was technically our first pacing game.
That was the first time we wore all the shirts. Most epic damn pacing job I've ever had, even to this day. Just like almost falling off ravines, helping my great friend Leah Brasher to a finish just 8 minutes before cutoff, where you could see from behind the core sweepers coming around that small loop. Oh. And our lights died. We had nothing. We had to be guided by her phone. I'll never forget, I had massive shin splints out of nowhere, and thank gosh for tooth pain from Rocky Raccoon, which is why I had to sleep vertical and not horizontal. I took Oragel with me everywhere, and Dylan's like, I could barely move as a pacer. And
I need a screenshot of Jen's face.
I am a hot mess. And Dylan's like, hey, bro, dude, just use your Oragel on your shins. Because I didn't know what anything was at this point. And I'm like, are you serious? Took out my Oragel, rubbed it on my hands, put on my shin. Game changer. I was like, this is it. This is it. Someone has to make Oragel of the shins. Little did I know Biofreeze existed. But, at this point, I'm new. I don't care. It's just like someone needs to make shin Oragel, shore gel, something. I don't know. But Dylan told me that it was the most epic pacing job ever. We're
You're
almost
not
fell
really
into a
selling this
ravine.
happy endings crew very well.
Every crew has an origin story, and it usually comes from something pretty bad, pretty not pleasant. And
I mean,
almost
I'd
fell
hire them
into.
to crew me. It'd always be entertaining. I feel
Oh
like
yeah,
it'd
no,
always be
Yeah.
entertaining
we
while
had some
running.
good. Lou Guru was a great success. Well,
Yeah.
you know what? You both were running that. I don't know. That just makes it sound like I'm gloating. But yeah, because I was the only one not running.
No, you were the crew chief. You were number one.
Yeah.
I was
crew
the master beaver. I have a shirt. that
Yes,
You
says
were.
Master
definitely
Beaver.
were.
Yeah, you were the master beaver.
No weird connotations behind that. Just Master Beaver. Yeah, it was great, and I look forward to helping others. And I already have a lot of pacing gigs lined up, and then we're gonna see what we can do together. And I look forward to it. And whatever, Jen, can someone take Jen off this? She's like, that's all I'm looking at.
She's looking down on you, literally.
Yeah.
All right. We
laugh.
we went pretty long. So,
Yeah.
but I would appreciate everyone coming on.
Didn't even do shout outs.
This is pretty entertaining. What were we gonna shout out? You want to plug something else?
Oh no, just the Sasquatch shout
Oh,
outs.
there's a
Yeah,
bunch of
that's the
Houston
one.
people. We don't
Yeah.
need to shout out them.
Jose, congratulations, 100K.
Oh, you
place
brought it up.
finisher.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm just gonna run through this really
Yeah.
fast. So 100K, Jose, good job. Technically, Texarkana or whatever. Arkansas is basically Texas's forgotten appendix. You're not removed. You're still there. So basically, you're DDR. Congratulations. And so, by the way, Kim lost to someone named Chang Wood from Sugarland. Congratulations,
Go
haters.
Tangwood.
She's 47, so you still have 22 years to catch up to her level. And then Kim came in 6th. Levi Miller in Fort Worth, that's my homie. Chilled with your wife for a bit at the race. Chilled with your wife at the race. She let me charge your phone. Great. It was a great experience. Erica and Morgan Pence, as we all know, in the Fort Worth side, who are kind of in the DDR side now. They both finished, I think, 3rd and 4th female for the 50K. Their second 50K ever. Rose was their first. Congratulations to them. And I want to give a special shout out just because I saw a lot of her for the 20K Mercedes, Avery. I saw her. Usually she's out there cheerful, smiling the whole time and whatnot. She looked really focused. And, I'm over here doing my dumb Sasquatch poses, but she just like zoomed off right past me. It looked like she was running a strong race.
She got
And,
there.
I saw her. Yeah, she finished 7th overall and 3rd female, I believe. And then at the very end, when she finished, it was emotional. It seemed like things weren't going great. And then it's just like, well, you did a great job. And it's just, you got to sometimes step back and realize that racing for us, it's subjective. No one's going to understand what we just did. It doesn't matter if we think they did good or you think you did bad. It's how we perceive it. And whatever she was going through, she did great and she took it personally. I'm so proud of her. And I just want her to use those emotions, continue to use them for something good. Couldn't be more proud of her. She's always a joy to see. So thank you, Mercedes. Keep being you. Own those emotions, use them for something good. Anyways, that's it. And Drew Flowers. Thank you for driving Kim down and finishing your race.
We somehow timed it where I met him on the end of his first loop and I was on the end of my second A loop. We thought we'd never see each other in the race, but we timed it perfectly.
Very cool.
Nice.
All right. This was
All
fun.
right. Well, this was fun. Thanks for coming on, guys.
All right. You guys have a good
Yeah,
night.
having me.
Longest one ever. See you guys
Right.
next week.
Oh, wow.
The
Yeah.
bar.
He's
That's
already
presum-
inviting
Well,
himself
but I
That's
on.
mean,
presumptuous.
We will have grasslands results.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We call it the SquadCast
Are
because I
we-
feel like
are-
we're all just kind of like all over the place sometimes.
Can we just like rename this podcast?
We'll
and,
have a special episodes just for you.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
There you
appreciate
go.
it. I have a lot to say.
The Dallas Dirt and Vert Squadcast.
Yeah, weekly.
All right.
Can't wait.
Trail endings. We can't merge
As long
3
as,
different groups.
Can we have Allie come on, please?
Oh no.
Oh my gosh.
Show
All
me
right.
the corgi
This is
butt.
good. This is a good time to end. Bye.
Allie.